Thank you for joining me for episode 2 of Chocolate Smarties. My name is Matt Moncrief. Before we get started, I would like to pay my respects to the owners of the lands on which we meet, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations, which was known as Naarm, now known as Melbourne, Victoria. To kick off NAIDOC Week 2021, the theme is Heal Country. I will be talking to Aunty Rhonda Collard-Spratt, a Yamatji Noongar artist, elder, and survivor of the stolen generation. She has just released the first of 5 children's books. The first one is called Grandfather Emu and How the Kangaroo Got His Pouch. This is an inspiring, incredible story you do not want to miss. This story will move you. This story is confronting. To Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander viewers, this yarn contains names and stories of deceased persons, so please be warned. I also want you all to know that we will be talking about suicide and sexual assault, and it can be uncomfortable, and it can be confronting, and it can be triggering to some, but it is necessary. As uncomfortable and awkward as it is, you need to hear this, you need to listen. So without further ado, this is Chocolate Smarties, and this is Aunty Rhonda Collard-Spratt. What is this, 35 interviews now?
Yeah, a bit more now.
Yeah, you must be exhausted and you must be sick of talking about the same thing.
No, I don't mind because in the past we didn't have a voice, so every opportunity I get, I take it.
Exactly, that is
and
very
I
true.
encourage the young ones to find their courage to speak, but not from anger, but from wisdom and from love for our culture and our people, and to right the wrongs, you know?
Exactly.
So I encourage them because I teach art at Bremer High to our young kids.
Oh, yeah.
I've been there for 6 years now.
And how is that? Because you were taken at 3 years old.
Yeah, 3 years old, and my sister was a newborn bub, and we were taken to Carnarvon Native Mission. But I didn't know that we all came under the 1905 Western Australian Aborigines Act. They only control people of mixed blood. They didn't care about these terms. I don't really like, but this is how they used them in the old days. Full bloods, they didn't care much about our full-blooded families. They only wanted to save us mixed kids with white blood in our veins. So, but in 1936, the WA government amended that act to include all Aboriginal people, no matter what percentage of blood you had. You lost your human rights, parents lost their parental rights, because we came under flora and fauna, and in WA, we came under fisheries.
Yeah, that is insane. And I don't think people actually realise it wasn't that long ago.
No.
Like 1967, I think it was changed that Aboriginals were seen as humans.
Yeah, and you know what that only gave? It didn't change anything politically for us. That meant the government could count us finally in the census. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
you know,
oh, sorry. Go on. No, you go.
I said, even today, we're still not recognised here.
Exactly. It's these things that are just said and not followed up. But so at 3 years old, I couldn't have even imagined that. Like,
yeah, we was I knew I had a family somewhere. I used to live with my Nana Edna Bellotti and Pop Roy, and all of a sudden I was gone from there, and I wondered where all my family went. And I was in a place where there's all little black kids and all white missionaries, and I thought, what ever happened to my family, you know? But we were told that they were dead, but we didn't know the real history, that they had no choice because, you know, I had no visitors, but they had no rights to see us. Yet before the 1905 Act changed, the other kids who were classed as full-bloods, they were taken out on weekends and on school holidays. And I always wondered, where's my family? No one's coming for me and my little sister. So it was a childhood growing up without affection, without love, without nurture. We grew up ourselves because every child needs to be nurtured, to know that you are loved and that people care about you and you need to be cherished. That didn't happen for any of us kids. So their main concern was to save our souls because it was a Christian church, Christian mission. So because of that, we've grown up with a lot of issues like showing affection, learning to trust, parenting skills. We get judged, we never saw a parent, so a lot of us struggle with parenting. Many issues, and it carries on down through the ages, through the generations.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yes.
that's what people don't understand. I don't know if they don't understand or they don't want to understand, but they don't understand that intergenerational trauma is carried on to today, and it's you were taught to what were you taught? You were told you weren't allowed to talk language.
No, if we did, that we got a flogging, and we got our mouth scrubbed out with velvet soap and a scrubbing brush. We were told it was rubbish, and and when you hear this as in your formative years, those words stick with you. Yeah. So I'm proud that I'm bringing these books here with language in it.
Definitely.
And this book is, I'll show you. You seen him, eh?
Yes, definitely. And you were telling me you did the artwork, so it's the first of
I done all the
5.
artwork.
That is beautiful. So pull it back a little bit from the camera. It's beautiful. The color's beautiful. So it's Grandfather Emu and how the kangaroo got his pouch. There it is. It's absolutely beautiful. The colors are beautiful, and the story, it's got language in it as well.
Yeah, it's got the Nyunga language in this, because all my life I thought I was just a Yamaji Nyalu.
Yeah, so Yamaji. But you're not. You're a Yamaji and a Nyunga Nyalu.
Yeah, and I didn't find out later in life that I was also Nyunga, because my father's a Yugal.
Oh, yeah.
So right. That's only just very recent. And he's Nyunga Yamaji too, because he was born at Tamla Station near Shark Bay, and my grandmother, his Nana was born at the mouth of the Murchison by the freshwater spring.
Oh, wow.
And my daughter's buying a house, and always felt good walking that country.
Yeah.
So that was home.
When did you go home last? Back to well, where is home for you?
Well, as a stolen mob, sometimes you don't know where you belong.
Yeah.
A lot of us are still flitting around the country, and Carnarvon is my birthplace. It's my country of my childhood country. It's my good memory country. It's my spiritual country, and it holds all these memories of playing on the river bank with all my mission brothers and sisters. It reminds me, home also for me is Rocky Pool, Chinaman's Pool, all these places where we had fun as children, but we worked hard in the mission, We had to scrub and do all sorts of hard work. So on the rare occasion they took us to picnics, I love Rocky Pool. So that's my heart country, my childhood country, but it's not my tribal country. But I still love the place. My tribal country is, on my father's side, is Kalbarri. And on the Spratt side, we were removed from the Kimbleys, and all my ancestors were taken to Moore River Native Settlement. So, she was moved from Liberinga Station. And guess who owns that now?
Who?
Gina Reinhardt.
Oh, does she?
To make you weak, eh?
Oh, Lord.
But you know what, nephew? She might own it on paper, but she doesn't own it through her DNA, through her bloodline, through her songlines, or her dreaming. The land doesn't know her. She is still a stranger. Yeah. Yet she might think that white paper talks big mob, but we know she won't fit in that country.
No. Just because you own it, that doesn't mean that's her home either.
No, that's so true, eh?
Yeah.
So when I think of home, my first vision is of where I grew up as a little girl from 1 to 3 on the block there. You know the block?
Yeah, in Carnarvon. Yeah.
And I remember horses and all as a little girl.
True. Always horses on the block. I remember the block. So that is just, so you were removed, and then you were taken to these missions and just forced to work. We
were forced to work, and we were forced to sing hymns and read the Bible. we were told everything about us was wrong. Yet as I knew that, we were here before the newcomers, and we had our spirituality. So I used to run off into we weren't allowed to say the bush, we had to say the common. That's real English, eh?
The common, yeah, it's a very English word to say, the common.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had to say, can we go for a walk in the common? We weren't allowed to say the bush. So I used to go off by myself to get away from the noise and all the children. I'd run down to this creek, and I'd climb up the big gum tree, and I'd sit there for hours, just being one with nature, crushing the leaves of the gum trees and smelling the scent from it, listening to the cicadas and watching the freshwater turtle, because there was a creek underneath me, and see the sunlight twinkling off the water. That was my favorite spot, to get away from everyone and the chores. So that was my little healing place. So
I can hear and feel the love and the memories, and I can see it on your face of all of this, and I can smell, because I'm from that country, I could smell it. I'm sitting right there with you, and I'm so happy that you have these memories that you can remember as well, these happy memories of these good times and of home, because I'm sure there's memories. No child should be forcibly taken, made to work, any of that. And I just don't understand how this worked in anyone's mind, that this was acceptable or okay.
Yeah, that's what people say. Oh, but it was the thinking of the time. And I said, I don't care about the thinking of the time.
No.
If those people had any humanity within their spirit or their heart, they would never remove a child from its parents or its father, its nana, its pop, its cousins. It's just totally wrong. And, that sickens me. Oh, but that was the accepted attitude of the day. What if it was turned around the other way?
Exactly.
And we did that to them, and we made their kids speak our language, and then, learn all our customs. And when they finally track their family down, they can't talk to them or don't know, don't fit in.
Yeah.
So, and today I went to the big hospital here, and I talked to a room full of child protection workers, because I'm still active in the community. And, I spoke for an hour, and I said, you know what? Your forefathers have been here for over 250 years, and we know all about you. We know your language, your food. We can read your books. We eat your food. I said, that was over 200 and so years ago. And I said, can anyone in this room tell me one thing about us as Aboriginal people? And the room just went dead silent.
I bet.
Dead silent. And I said, that silence speaks a million words to me. And you're working with our people, you're still causing more traumas, because their parents would have been taken, their grandparents, and vice, right through. Yeah. I said, you're still causing trauma by removing our kids. Because I grew up in foster homes too, nephew.
Yeah.
From the mission, I wanted to stay in Carnarvon and get to know my family, the Belottis, Aunty Carmela,
Yeah.
But I had no choice. I was shanghaied to Perth.
So you were put into foster care. So after the mission, you were put into foster care, and then they sent you to Perth?
Yeah, from Perth. Now, from Carnarvon, I was sent to Perth and down to Fremantle. It was such a culture shock, because all of a sudden, there was nobody like me, no Yamajis around. I was the only black fella, it seemed, in Fremantle at the time.
Yeah.
That was in 1967. And it was horrible, And then working in the salon, I didn't know how to tell the times. I had to write they didn't teach us any life skills.
So after the mission and you were sent down there, they didn't teach you anything. You just literally went out and worked. And this all ties into the stolen wages and all of that, because you didn't get any pay, or you didn't get anything.
No, because I was earning $8 and I had to pay $8 board. Poor fella.
Yeah. It's
anyway,
ridiculous.
The native welfare stepped in and paid that, but the foster people took that as well.
Yeah.
I was given 50 cents to put in the plate for Jesus. But I wanted it.
It was literally slavery. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it
yeah.
was slavery. It was slavery that's not talked about. Our history to all these non-Indigenous people is a mystery. Like they don't know any of this stuff.
I know.
They hear these buzzwords like stolen wages, stolen generation. They don't know or understand what it means. And I think to go forward, they need to understand these things. Stop making our history this mystery. They need to go in and understand what these, like you said to the child protection people, you know, what do you know about us? We had to learn everything about you.
Mm.
What do you know about us? Is that what, because healing is the theme for NAIDOC week this year?
Yes, darling, it is. And we still
So
have a long way to go. I'm getting emu bumps talking to you. I don't say goosebumps. We never had white fella guests. So can you say emu bumps now?
emu bumps, yellow bitty bumps.
Yeah, yellow bitty bumps. I love that.
We're getting yellow bitty bumps. Why are you getting yellow bitty bumps?
Just thinking about the, I'm getting emotional now. Just thinking about all my mission family, and we're all doing the Royal Commission into institutionalized sexual abuse. Right now, it's very raw. Yeah. And a lot of my other mission family, my brothers and sisters, they've done theirs too. And, you know, no amount of money can erase what happened to us, but it'll help us because financially, you know. Yeah. And I believe that everybody who was in missions or in foster homes or orphanages should get the full amount. They shouldn't weigh up our trauma.
No.
Because one of my mission brothers said he was raped every night by 5 missionary men when he's a little boy. And I just cry for him, you know. And he rings me up and say, you know what, sis, I feel like crying. Yeah. And I say, you just cry, have a cry. And we're all grandparents now. So we have a long way to go. And I always say to White Australia, because I go to many a book club, and it's crazy. Nobody knows this true history.
No.
And I'm thinking, where have you been? Why have you got a deaf ear and a blind eye to us, to our voice? Because many times we are unseen, we're unheard. And I just wish that these things could change, you know, Definitely. And that they need to you know, I was talking on radio the other day, and they were saying 80% of white Australians don't know nothing of us.
They don't. They don't. They don't. And we're 2 to 3% of the population. And to have things changed in this country, which we need everything changed. We need 47% of non-Indigenous people to be on our side to help make these changes, because there's so few of us. So that's 1 in 2 people that we come across needs to be on our side. So how do you think we heal, and how do you think, what would make a good ally from a non-Indigenous person?
Well, I think they need to listen to us and hear our voice, not let's let it go straight through. And they need to listen with an open heart, mind, and with understanding, and not be judgmental. They need to have a heart that is pure and willing to hear this, because most white Australians, they don't want to hear it. It's too hard. It's too difficult. It's a hard conversation to have. But we need to share our truth, and they need to listen, because it's our history and it's their history too.
Yeah.
It's a shared history. And what I do for my healing is I paint, I write songs, play the guitar. I, just nurture my heart and spirit. But I'm also out there working at high school with our children. I'm helping them with their identity, because one girl, because she's put her hand on my hand, and she's a fair-skinned girl, and she said, Auntie, do you think it's funny I'm a white black fella? I said, no, it's not. I said, we all got their blood flowing in our veins, but people, I said, you walk proud in the color you're in. We have black comes in many shades.
Exactly. And
I'm really fair to black. And I said, true. You're Aboriginal.
It's true. No matter how much milk you put in a tea, no matter how much milk you put in a tea, it's still tea at the end of the day.
That's true, eh? Anyway, I've seen that girl blossom, she's accepted who she is. And so much trauma in our kids still today. Like
Yeah.
one girl she's 14 and she is adopted. She doesn't know who her family is. And one day she come up and hugged me and she said, Auntie, can I call you mum?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
she don't know where she's from.
Yeah.
There's no records of her. And I said, yeah. So I call her daughter girl and she calls me Mama Rhonda.
Yeah.
When I go to school, I've been there 6 years and I teach them Aboriginal heart.
Aboriginal heart. Aboriginal heart. Well, look, it is from the heart, isn't it?
Make me weak. I was out a fortnight.
Yeah. You were there when Kevin Rudd did the apology. You were there, and what did that mean to you? And what do you think that meant for Australia?
Well, when I arrived there and I went in and then I sat down and I looked at the row and they were all bloody gun mob.
Oh, Carnarvon mob sitting there.
And we was holding hands when he was talking. And for me, it was so emotional. And I was thinking about all our people who'd gone before us and all their suffering and pain. And I was thinking, they are hearing it, our spirit people, our ancestors. But it was amazing for me and also for my sister, she breaks my heart, because she was taken as a little child and just left in a cot. Nobody held you and all that. And she's still so angry today. But I can understand because I remember when all these kids wet their nappies, they hung them on the line to dry. The missionaries, and they were sleeping on the bloody line with their overalls on, So she carries a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Oh, sorry.
She carries a lot of trauma.
Yeah. They hung them on the line in the nappies.
They had braces,
Yeah, and
they
so
put
they just
the braces over and done it up. Yeah.
Just treated like not
nothing.
even humans.
So yeah. So anyway, my sister was watching it in Broome, and she never shows her sad side. People judge you, and they should not judge people. Anyway, she just wept. She broke down and wept and wept, and she's been tough all her life, and that just touched her heart. And for me, it started our healing that the government finally recognized and acknowledged that this happened, because little Johnny Howard didn't want to.
Yeah, no.
He's anyway.
It was a big moment, but it took so long to get there.
Yeah, and Kevin Rudd had the courage and the strength to stand up and do this for us. And I really appreciate that from him, because it started a lot of our healing journeys.
Was that the first time you ever noticed, or was it the first time you ever noticed or was acknowledged that had happened to you, or had you seen?
First time.
Before that it was
First
just
time.
pushed under the rug and all that, and then that was the first.
No, nobody wanted to talk.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to acknowledge it. And they say, but don't blame me. I wasn't there. We know you weren't there. But you must acknowledge the trauma we still carry.
Yeah.
It didn't happen way back then. We're still here.
Yeah,
we're still alive.
You're still alive, and you're still beautiful as ever. With that brown skin, Gandhari. So we're talking about trauma and all of that, and it's carried on, and what you were saying is it's still very live today. The leading killer, the leading killer of Indigenous kids from the age of 5 to 17 years old is suicide.
Yeah, I know, and this just breaks my heart.
Which is
so
heartbreaking, because
it is heartbreaking, because they see no hope, no future, and because they're rejected in a lot of things in the mainstream. So we need to build up their spirit and strength, and to say, you matter, you are our future. I see you, I hear you, I acknowledge you, because that doesn't happen to us in the mainstream. So on Monday, once a month, I go and work with our kids in care. They're in a hostel. They're taken from their families. So once a month, I'll go and teach them art and that sit with them for however long they need. So I'm doing that this Monday. So we got to listen to our kids, not to ignore them, because they need quality time with us. So take time out for your children. Sit down and listen to them and do fun things together, you know? Don't just worry about playing cards or going and having a drink. Spend time with our future, our young ones, you know? We need to give them that hope. So with Grandfather Emu, it's about bringing back hope, instilling in them that walk proud in who they are, because we are the firstborn people of this country. Exactly. We are the firstborn, and to know that we belong. Yeah. You know, we belong here. Like one time, one bloke was talking to me about it, and he said, maybe it was good you were stolen. And I just got proper ngurdu. Yeah. I said, how dare you? And he went on and on and on and on, and then he swore at me. Then I said, anyway, mate, you're just a Captain Cook reject.
And you know what? That is disgusting. And that is the thought of those people back in the day. But then to have the audacity to come to you, I wish I was there, because he wouldn't have gotten very far with any conversation for you to have to say anything back to him. But it's disgusting. And I know people still think like that today. And I know people still have that black heart in them. And it was never okay. It wasn't okay then. It's not okay now. And not once was it ever okay. And nobody ever deserved that. You didn't, nobody ever did.
No way, you know, because, you know, and some people deny it happened. So that in my Alice's Daughter book, this one here.
Yeah. So, your first book,
that's me when I'm 16.
See, you don't look any different.
So in there, I've got all the native records, their legal documents from the native welfares, and it even got where my mother and father had to ask to marry.
Yeah, so what was the first book about?
It's called Alice's Daughter, because I didn't know who I looked like. We didn't see any of our family. Yeah. And when I hit Perth with the foster homes on the weekends, because I did my hairdressing, it was 5 years back then, but in the hairdressing, we did everything. We did eyebrows, nails, the toes, the facials. It was a proper beauty shop. Now you get your nails over there and, you know, eyebrows here. And so on the weekends, I'd catch the train from Freo to Perth, and then I'd be walking in the mainstream looking for, you know, window shopping. Yeah. Then all the elderly Aboriginal people come up to me and touch my shoulder, and they say, are you Alice's daughter? Because they grew up with her in Moore River Native Settlement. Yeah. From Rabbit-Proof Fence fame, and I'm the mirror image of my mother. Right. So that's how we call this Alice's Daughter.
Yeah. Wow.
It's got photographs of all my mission family. Got poetry in there that I've written. I've been writing poems for years. Yeah. And it's got my artwork.
So what was it like when you went to Perth, coming from like the Carnarvon mission? Were they different? Were the Nyungas different down there to the Yamaji mob up north, or was it any? Because it's a bit different now when you come from a city or in a city. What was Perth like back then?
A lot of the Nyungas, they recognised, the elderly knew my face, see, so they were nice to me. And when I said who I was, Rhonda Spratt, oh, we knew your grandfather, all in Moore River, you know, we knew your great-grandmother. So we had that connection through history of all our people being removed and shift off down to Moore River. So for me, it was amazing. Yeah. You know, and when I do artwork, I always leave the face last, because I didn't know who I looked like. So that's one thing I do now. I'll show you a painting I done, if I can find it here. So because I didn't know my identity, see? Yeah. It was about searching for my family, who I was, where I was from, who I belonged to. So really, well, the Spratts were originally from the Kimbleys, because the Nyungas thought I was a Kimbley girl. Yeah. I said, no, I'm a Yamaji from Carnarvon.
I'm a Yamaji girl.
Yeah. So I'm a bit of everything. So see this picture here? See the face of the fella?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I did his face last.
So you do everything else around it and then the face last?
Yeah, because that was represents my search for my identity and who I look like, who I belong to. So the face is always left last.
Yeah.
That's important for me because it was a long journey, and because of all the massacres and us being removed, and our life expectancy is short. So, we're going to close the gap. So I've lived 10 years longer than my mother.
Yeah.
And my father, who I didn't meet, he died in Broome Prison. He was 54. He was in the first Royal Commission into Black Deaths. I seen him in Carnarvon at the church for the first time, and that was pretty. So I kissed his, it was a hello and goodbye at the same time. I kissed his cold foot, and I cried for months about a man I never even met.
Yeah.
I was robbed of ever meeting him. I never heard his voice. I never heard him say, I'm his little princess, and things that mean a lot to children, So I go overboard with my grannies now, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, well, you were robbed of so much, and and you're just such a radiant, beautiful person that
thank you.
You are, and you're just so easy to talk to, and you're just so insightful, and you just have had such a story that people couldn't even imagine. And I think that may be something that is. People can't imagine. They hear it and then they just hear it and then that's it. Just like, I think it's a lot of things are quite tokenistic when it comes to Indigenous things, like, oh, we're going to have NAIDOC week, and it's NAIDOC week, but non-Indigenous people, do they go out and do they celebrate it? Do they go to festivals? Do they go to these art exhibits? Do they delve into it a little bit more, or
no? Yeah. Because that really hit me on National Sorry Day. I went in Ipswich here. I went and spoke at the main education department, telling them and sharing my life story and singing a couple of songs. And it was a wonderful time, but there was a lot of people there knew nothing. And then I jumped in the lift and I said, I just spoke. I said, does anyone in this room know it's National Sorry Day for Stolen Generation? They said, no. And even one black fellow, he said, thank you, Aunty, for reminding me. And my dream is that when they print calendars, they will put our special days on the mainstream calendar.
Yeah.
And add that so people are aware of it. And if they want to learn, they can come to our different functions, different gatherings. My philosophy in life is to be kind and to be thoughtful and helpful and to help anyone in need. You must honor all humanity and help them in need. And I pass this wisdom on to the next generation because they are our future. And I say to them, you must honor all living life on the planet. Don't be cruel to animals because all life is sacred. And I speak up for animals. That's my one passion as well. We must care for our mother, the earth. Must not, if she dies, we die.
Just with how do we go forward? Like, because there's still all this trauma, there's still all this suffering. What do we do? How do we make it better for our people?
I think a lot of us, because of trauma, we get lost in it, and because our hearts and spirits are crying, we need to support each other and accept each other and hear each other, and just take the time to sit around a fire or come and have a mug of tea and support each other. See, I go to women's groups, but I never went last time because I had the biggest trauma there.
Yeah.
One lady, she came in with a gollywog. Oh. It was big gollywog. And one of the other elders said, who's that gollywog? And this one stood up. She came in with a little doggy because that's her support, because she's had a stroke and she's fair skinned, and she stood up and she said, because she had a stroke, she said, that's my golly. My mummy didn't want to know she was black. She hid all the mirrors. She shut all the windows and put curtains. She wouldn't take photographs. I have no photos of my mum because she didn't want to be Aboriginal. And she said before she died, she accepted she was Aboriginal, and she made me this gollywog to say that I am a black girl.
Yeah.
She said, my mum gave me with love and to tell me to be proud of who I am.
Yeah.
It broke my heart. And there's another story too, where one of my friends, his grandmother, every morning she'd get dressed, she'd powder herself white all over, put white gloves, white dress. She hold a white baby just rocking it. See the trauma?
Yeah.
So my heart just broke for this girl, you know. So sometimes we can hurt each other, you know,
Yeah.
and because of what the gollywog stood for. But then she understood that other girl, because this is what part of her identity was, to accept
Yeah.
she was Aboriginal. So there's a lot of sadness and trauma still amongst ourselves, you know.
And people still alive, which people don't realize. They're like, it was 200 years ago, get over it. And it's like, it wasn't. It was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's still happening today. Just things like Australia Day. We're sitting here saying, change the date. And people are saying, why? Don't ask why. We're telling you it's inappropriate.
It is.
Listen to us.
I'm not going to celebrate that day and dance on the bones of our ancestors. No way.
Exactly.
And also for Anzac, I acknowledge our frontier wars, because the white National War Memorial reckon they were skirmishes, but they were full-on wars. Have you heard about our men that went to the Boer War?
No.
The Boer War, that's South Africa. That was fought in the 1800s. The First World War was in the 1900s, and the Second World War. They wanted the best horsemen and trackers. So our men who weren't citizens, they put their hand up and they went to South Africa to help the great British Empire. And no good when the war was over, all the white fellas got on the big ship. Yeah. And our men went to get up on the game plank to come home. Big white hand went like that, stop. They said, we want to come home to country. And they reckon, no, you're black. Australia has the white Australian policy. Get off and get off this boat. Their descendants are still there today, though.
In Africa?
Yeah, in South Africa. And this history isn't spoken about. So I light a little candle for them on Anzac.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. So Australia has a lot to learn. And Australia sometimes has a short memory.
Yeah.
But we have definitely the longest memory out. I never forget a thing.
Yeah, exactly. And our history isn't just the last few hundred years. Our history is 60,000 years. And that's where we have been focused these last few hundred years, when we need that to not be our history. Our history is prior to that. That's
right. That's what I said to this bloke. He come here. And because my little doggy died, Cheryl, your mum knows my little doggy, Mimini, and
yeah.
Anyway, they come to take her to give her a ceremony and that and bring her back to me. And they said, oh, my family been here for 5 generations. I said, yeah, that's just like yesterday.
Yeah.
I said, 200 so years. I said, we've been here for over 65,000 years.
Yeah.
I would say we've been here since the beginning of the beginning.
Exactly.
Our people, you know?
Yeah.
And one Wongai lady shared with me those big, is it pterodactyls? She had stories about them, those big birds with bat wings, you know?
Yeah, the big dinosaurs. Doing the Yumby. Oh, true. Your husband was the first Aboriginal policeman.
Yeah, him and Everett Kickett.
So the first ever, because they're all Aboriginal liaison officers before that.
No, he was a proper policeman.
But he was the first proper one.
Yeah, proper one.
And how was that? How was that received?
Oh, goodness me. He was always speaking up for our mob. He said we'd be driving and white fellas be looking with the black fella. He said, we can't be everywhere doing all the crimes. He was forever speaking up. And when our mob came in, he'd take them home or he'd feed them, give them a tucker. He reckoned one fella wanted an apple. He said, hey, Jerry, I'm hungry. You got an apple there? And Jerry said, you got no teeth.
You gotta eat the apple. So what did he give him?
An old fella reckoned, no, it's all right. I'll just smash it on the wall like this to soften it.
Oh, no. Did you have any oranges?
That would have been better, eh?
Yeah.
Or mangoes.
Oh, no. And
he was always speaking up for our mob. And, you know, when I had that police violence with guns to my head in 91.
Yeah. Well, so what happened there?
I was in a play in Subiaco, the Hole in the Wall Theatre, and Richard Wally had written a play called Munjong, and I was in there with Ernie Dingo, Frank, what's his name? Frank Nannup, and some other actors. And on the way home, one of the men said, "Oh, can you take me to the East Perth railway station? My wife coming in from Kalgoorlie." And it was coming in at midnight. So we were pulled up there, and the taxi rank, and this white and yellow went by. And she looking at us like with hate. But we made a joke. We said, "Oh, she never seen a black fellow before," and we busted out laughing. Yeah. But it was her that rang the police and said everyone in my car had guns. There was a big lie.
Yeah.
So anyway, when his wife came, he
white
got out.
Privilege.
White privilege. And then we took off. And because I'm very observant, I was thinking, why are these cars going slow? They had the big troop carrier with the TRG. They all balaclavaed up and guns and loudspeakers. And anyway, I travelled along. And then when we hit, you know where the Aboriginal Medical Centre is in East Perth?
Yeah, yeah.
We were pulled up there, and my cousin, he looked very scared. I said, "Nah, brother, it's right. It's just a breathalyzer." I said, "We're right." Now that I'm waiting for them to come up to the window, next minute, "Can the driver of the car get out with your hands up?" And I was in shock. I said, "Brother, what's going on?" So I sat there for a while, and then they started screaming and swearing at me. And they said, "Can you spread eagle?" So I get out. I thought that was eagle. I thought they were asking me to do the bloody crobbery of the eagle. Red eagle.
And what, you started dancing?
Yeah, and I didn't know what Red eagle was. So I sat cross-legged in the middle of the tar road, and I had all the spotlights on me, and I see all the guns aimed at me. And they had their faces covered, and all this white, this just bright white, because they had black balaclavas. And then because I sat cross-legged, spread eagle. I thought, if I go on my back, I can't see nothing.
Yeah.
So I went on my tummy. And that's when I saw them. And when I did that, they rushed my cousin. They pulled him out, and then, because he's a big fella and he had his hair and beard long for the play. And they were really cruel to him, walking on his back and twisting his leg. And then he shouted out, "My sister, her husband, a policeman," you know. Then they backed off a bit. But I think they already knew, because they would have checked out the car and it was in his name.
Yeah.
Senior Sergeant Collard. And anyway, after that, they checked my car out. And when we jumped back in, they'd emptied all this rotten rubbish in it. They'd filled my car with rubbish. They couldn't find any guns because we didn't have any. It was a lie.
Yeah.
So on the way home, when Jerry saw the state I was in, he rang the headquarters, because he knows the system. They said, "Oh, sorry, the superintendent's not in." He was in the police union, and they took a double spread ad against me.
Wow. What, in the paper?
In the paper, you open it up, a big double spread. What really happened? Took 2 pages.
Wow. And it was
and
just,
Jerry
it was all
paid for it.
It was all fabricated. It was all not true. And they said you had guns in the car, and
yeah, we didn't have guns. They didn't find any guns, and then they threatened to shoot my head off.
Just because this one woman called up and...
Yeah, you know, and we're all black fellas in the car, and it's political being black, eh?
Yeah, it is.
So, you know, I walk strong and proud in my skin, no matter what shade we are. We are all the firstborn of this land. We belong here. So, you know, I never deny who I am.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd like all our mob to walk strong. You don't have to be that. You know, we come in all shades of black. That's my saying, from fair to dark. We've got to accept each other and support each other, because we're facing this. Australia really is a racist country. Because me and my son we weren't allowed to go into this club because I'd got a letter from WA about the WA redress, and I'd been crying, and John said, "Come on, Mum, let's get dressed up." And then we went to this club here, and we get in. I said, "John, they're not going to let us in." And sure enough, they stand in their arms folded, eyes rolling. And they said, where do you live? We said, down the road, Riverview. Sorry, you live too far away. You can't come in. Now get out.
You'll
And I was
never,
crying going out because I've been crying all day from remembering, facing all the reports I had to put in for this redress from WA.
yeah.
And John said, come on, Mum, it's all right. Let's go to Hungry Jack's. I said, they got no karaoke there.
you should have just sang in Hungry Jack's anyway.
But he said, no, Mum. He said, they got all the songs from your era, the 50s and 60s, in a jukebox.
Oh, I remember when Hungry Jack's used to have the jukebox.
Yeah, so we went there.
Yeah.
No, I haven't gone back to that place. And, they should see, hate is taught.
And it's just so much more energy than love.
Yeah.
Hate is just so much more energy than love. Love, just listen with love, listen with your heart open, and just listen and listen and just engage in it. You don't have to respond. You don't always have to have a response, as listen to the people and just understand.
Like another time, because I'm really into music, I write songs and play guitar, and I was going with an elder to this country club in Bald Hills here, and I was sitting down, and I often don't talk to combos.
Well, and I understand. Like the white person had removed you, like that you would have. Do you still have trauma about that? Do you associate?
Because I was doing. I go down here to the Riverview community thing, and I said, I'm going to go and make a coffee. And I was walking happy. Next minute, I see this white man in there making coffee, and I froze.
Yeah.
I didn't go to make a coffee. I know he wouldn't hurt me, but that.
Yeah, it's
I had to reverse back, and they said, "Where's your coffee?" And I couldn't tell them.
Yeah.
And another issue for me is food, because when I left the Carnarvon Mission and I started working Fremantle in a salon, those white girls said to me, "Look at your ribs. We can pluck any tune on your ribs." I felt hungry all the time, so this is why food is my what I fall back on. It's my comfort,
Yeah. Did you have like rations in the missions?
No, we were fed. We were fed, but for breakfast we had to prepare the missionaries. They had hot porridge with hot milk. Then they'd have. Now, first of all, they have a grapefruit, which we had to cut in half and segment each little bit. Put brown sugar and a red cherry. Then they'd have hot porridge and hot milk. Then they'd have bacon and eggs, grilled tomato and toast, and a cup of tea. We had porridge you can lift out and eat like a pizza. Then we had bread and molasses, what they feed horses,
Yeah.
And when we were sitting around the table, they said a big grace for the whole dining room. And then the missionary said, "Okay, we're going to say our own little special grace around this table." So each kid had to say a sentence. Went to the boy next to me, Marshall Kelly, and he reckoned, "Dear Jesus, I thank you for ham and eggs." And I elbowed him. I said, "Hey, Marshall Kelly, what you thanking Jesus for ham and eggs? We don't get it, they do." And he said, "Rhonda Spratt, open your ears. I'm thanking Jesus for my arms and legs, not ham and eggs."
How long were you in the mission for?
From 3 to 16.
3 to 16. And how many were there?
We had 10 dormitories, love.
Oh, wow.
As you got older, me and my sister grew up separate. Get my book, Mina's standing, we're two sisters. We're standing apart like this because we didn't grow up. We were like strangers.
Yeah.
I feel like crying when I see that because our ages were different. So I didn't get to be in the same dormitory.
Yeah.
And the brothers and sisters were split up because of the gender.
Yeah. And you couldn't mix with each other?
No. You had to stay in your own yard.
In your own yard, like animals.
Mission yard, yeah. The mission yard, yeah.
And you couldn't leave, could you? You couldn't go out to town. You couldn't.
No way, no.
You just had to stay there and work and serve. And was there classrooms? Did they teach?
Oh, yeah. Well, we lived under segregation. most people don't think that Australia had segregation.
Yeah.
But this segregation from Australia was taken to South Africa in 1948. People don't know that. They based it on Australia. Did you know that?
No, I knew we had it here, but I know but I know it's a lot more talked about in Africa, whereas they don't talk about it here. Just like slavery, they talk about slavery in Australia. When they talk about slavery, is American. We had slavery here. We had segregation here, apartheid here.
Yeah, well, I lived under that.
Yeah.
People born in those eras. We couldn't go to the school in town. We were all crammed into 2 rooms. But, and we didn't learn to read and write. We did a lot of art stuff.
Yeah.
And singing. But I had one teacher that I loved. I still think of her today. And that was in the 50s. She was a Scottish teacher. Yeah. Miss Glendinning. She used to say to me, Rhonda, that's not how you write the letter R.
It's good. It's good that you had someone like that. But what did they teach you? Like, did they just taught you how to? Because you said when you worked at the salon, you didn't know how to tell the time, and
I didn't know how to give change. We'd never seen money in my life, and it was such a difficult time,
Yeah.
So we mainly did arts and crafts. We made baskets, and we did embroidery and all this stuff, like ready to be a domestic, I suppose. Yeah. And they did try to, like, we did the reading and writing, but and doing maths, I wasn't ready when I went to the town school. I just write out the problem, but I didn't fill in the answer. I said, I'm finished.
Yeah. Oh, the Uluru Statement from the Heart.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I thought that was amazing. And for it just to be flicked to one side, so disrespectful. Yeah. Our people gave it from their heart and their soul and their spirit, and it was just like it didn't matter. Yeah. That was really hurtful, Yeah. That was really full of, to change things and to work for both black and white,
No, I could sit here and talk to you for hours and hours and hours.
Well, we can do it again sometime.
We definitely have to do it again. Thank you so much. I would take up all of your time here, but I have to let you go, I think, because we'll be sitting here for another 2 hours.
Can I read you one poem first?
Yes, can you please? And definitely read me whatever you want.
Guru Galaji?
Yeah, the Guru Galaji there. They're a little bit fogged up. There they.
Yeah, my Guru Galaji. I'll just find this one now. Where is it now? I've got yummy guys.
And what's but the Guru Galaji should help with the Guru. What are you reading out of? Is it one of your books or is it? Oh yeah. Alice's daughter. Did Anna Annie?
Annie, yeah.
Did Jackie Farrow help write that book as well?
Yeah, I was writing it and I couldn't face all my native records. I got stacks. I couldn't handle it. It was too heavy. Yeah. So I said, Jackie, would you be able to sift through all this and get all the information? So she knows all about the laws we came under. She speaks up for us too, eh?
Yeah, and she's helping you write the next.
Yeah, well, it's my stories, but I want to journey with her. Yeah. And we went to a school, and when the next day I read the article, I wept because they didn't mention her. Sometimes she's seen and I'm not seen. Other times I'm seen and she's not. Yeah. And I rang the school up. I said, this is our journey together in the true spirit of reconciliation. And
exactly. When's the next one?
Well, we're working on it now. It's about the bullada, the bullada. Oh,
yeah, bullada, the blue-tongued lizard.
Yeah. Yeah. And I told my daughter, and she busted out laughing. She said, Mum, that sounds ridiculous. It's about bullada and friend. And she said,
no one want to be friends with a bullada.
Yeah, because they make fun of the teeth, the blue tongue. And when she said, who's his friend? I said, the dolphin. And she said, Mum, that sounds hilarious. But it's about the magic of him being able to go into the sea, because the dolphin sees him being called all sorts of names. Oh, yeah. And asks a great dreaming spirit to make him available to go down and breathe underwater. Yeah. So
the first one, the grandfather emu and how the kangaroo got his pouch, is Nyunga. The second one's Yamaji.
See, I'm it's taking old ancient teachings and I'm rearranging it
Yeah.
because we are a living culture. We have a birthright to recreate for now. We in the year 2021, we can't become stagnant. We carry with us the wisdom and the stories and the dances from our ancient people, from our elders, and we hold that and we share that. We keep it close here and share it, but we must not become stagnant because we are a living culture. We have a right. We must recreate stories that reflect now, dances that reflect now. Yeah. On a skateboard, or I've seen dances about fellas getting drunk and their spirit dying, reflecting our life now. So I encourage young people or anybody, don't listen to, oh, you can't do that. We put up a lot of negativity amongst ourselves. And it's about reclaiming, it's your right, about reinventing, it's your right, because what we lost wasn't our fault.
Exactly.
So I'm recreating these stories, but really it's a message, an ancient teaching to all people on the planet to be kind and helpful, see the goodness in people, and it's a choice. I say to people when I go to book clubs, and we can always pick the racist mob.
Yeah,
it's true. And I say to them, you know what? Everyone in this room, we all come into the world the same way and we leave it the same way. And we're all born with time, and it's how you choose to live it while you're walking the planet. You can leave a wonderful legacy of you being a good person and a kind person, or you can leave a legacy that no one liked you because of your attitude, your nastiness, your racist ways. I said, the choice is yours.
Oh, okay. So this is from Alice's daughter, and what's the poem called?
Before I Leave.
Before I Leave. So Aunty Rhonda, when you're ready,
okay.
I'd love to hear it.
Before I leave this world, I want to swim in the river again, feel the cool, fresh water wash over my tired, aching skin, heal my spirit with love so true, fill my soul within. See this land dressed in spring after rain and warm winter winds. Hear birds and the songs they sing, lay in the wildflowers in full bloom, surrounded by their soft perfume. In my bed of flowers and scent, I watch the clouds slowly drift by. Bumblebees buzz, sweet nectar gathered on their knees from tall blue flowers that they can see. Beneath Carnarvon warm blue skies, time takes me back to when I was young. I had no voice and I was shy. Down memory lane I walk again. Listen to places of my childhood days. Memories come alive, strong and true, then fade away to broken, misty blue. Back to the past my journey isn't through. They fall and sink to the bottom of my mind, where they will rest till the end of time. Before I go, let me sit by your side. Tell me your fears, hopes, and dreams. Let me sing you a song with story and love. Softly and honestly, let it speak to your heart with my dear friend, my old guitar. Now take my hand and dance with me under the silent midnight sky. When I leave and have gone to rest, to be with my mother in the arms of Mother Earth, back to our dreaming forever I'll be. Think of me when the morning star shines. Think of me when the evening star rises. Remember me when the wildflowers bloom, for my heart will be happy, my spirit free. This poem is dedicated to my children, John and Lisa Collard. Love you both forever and a day, Mum.
Oh, that's so wonderful. That is so wonderful.
Thank you. Because Lisa used to say, love you, Mum. I say, I love you back. And they say, what about my front?
And I was just imagining, and just the wildflowers back home, and
yeah, I miss that, eh?
Yeah.
And it's a big part of it, yeah.
And I heard you call yourself a wildflower.
Yeah.
In an interview recently.
Yeah.
because they're just they're just these little beautiful things, but they're just left to bloom out in the wild by themselves. So
Yeah, they're not nurtured or cared for or anything, eh?
but they grow up and are just these beautiful things, just like you. So thank you so much for joining me, and Aunty
No, it's a
Rhonda.
pleasure.
Thank you so much. I could talk to you forever.
Yeah, well, lovely to catch up with you, and I'm proud of your achievements in your life.
And I'm so proud of you. You're just absolutely everything that our culture needs, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud to be Aboriginal, and I just love that you just are just so talented and everything. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, dear. You go well and go strong and stay black.
Thank
Strong
you.
and deadly.
Stolen from his mother under government policy, adopted by a loving white family, but their love could not save him as he struggled for identity. Now Lewis Johnson's gone home, he's finally free. His skin was black. Grog killed the pain when he couldn't get back to his people he left on that dusty old track. And Lewis Johnson's gone home, he did make it back.